you want to build a fairly serious drift car. Well, it's not just the cost of building the car itself, it's the cost of operating the car. And in this video, we're going to dive into that. Let's head to the shop. Okay, so in our last video, we broke down what it costs to build this car. In this video, we're going to break down what it costs to operate it. Let's go check out the car. So this is the car in question. It's a dark 427 E46. It makes 575 to the rear tires and 500 foot-pounds of torque. It's got a G-force dog box and it deletes tires. But a car like this is not cheap to run. So let's talk about where it stands in kind of like the scale of drift cars. I would say this car is what you would call nowadays a Pro-Am drift car. The only two things that are stopping this car from being of a Formula Drift Pro level car is one, a quick change differential, and two, simply more
speed and power. Loads of power. Yes! Feel the power of that! It's powerful. Speed is good for business.
This engine is built to handle well over 1,000 horsepower. We did all the preliminary modifications early on. All we need to do at the next step when we feel we need it will be to bolt a supercharger on it, put a quick change in it. But right now, this is important to understand that the number we get from this operating cost will significantly increase when we have more power. And you could imagine that anybody at that level with a car that makes 900 plus horsepower in Formula Drift or any other competition series, I would wager that their cost would be 4 times what ours is, bare minimum. So let's dive into some of these costs. So you got a badass race car, but you can't street drive it to the event. Much as I wish I could, it probably only lasts about 5 kilometers before it goes on empty. So we need a rig. So on average, this truck costs me about $2,000 a year in maintenance. So truck maintenance, $2,000. Then we need to get to the event. These are all averages, but generally speaking, let's say it's $750, which is like 3 tanks of fuel for this thing. So fuel, $750. Hotel and accommodation, usually that's around $1,000 because my girlfriend doesn't want to sleep in a trailer if it's too hot or too cold. Then we need to feed my girlfriend because we can't just eat like, you know, shitty road food. So that's usually like $250 to $300 for a weekend. So when we sum all that up, we got $2,000 for truck maintenance, $1,000 for hotel accommodation, $750 for fuel for the truck, and around $250 for fuel for the week, or for food, which I guess is fuel for the weekend. But the next cost we need to talk about is if we're in the truck, we got to tow the race car with something. Need a dang trailer, dude. So this is my trailer. It's a 22-foot enclosed. This is a very humble trailer. It's not much to write home about. However, it costs me about $1,000 a year in maintenance when we consider all the things I do to it between maintenance and upgrading it. So we got a trailer maintenance cost, and it's $1,000 per season. So you got to the event, and now you need to pay to be there. Now obviously you usually register in advance, but the average event for us costs about $500 per weekend. But we also need to talk about 2 main things you're going to use while you're at the event. Let's talk about those. Jack. Alright dude, so you got to the event. Let me quiet this jug down. You got to the event. This car doesn't take 91. She takes premium, brother. In our case, that's E85 from VP. And we go through a lot of fuel. So in this season, we did 5 events. I went through 2 barrels of fuel. That's $1,600 in fuel. Let's go talk about tires. We gotta talk about tires because this car deletes them real quick. So on average, we go through 16 tires per event based on my math, and we pay $110 per tire. At 16 tires, 110, we're at $1,760 per event. We ordered 100 tires last year, which is why we were able to get them at $110 per tire. If you're ordering them in smaller batches, you will be paying more than that. You got your truck, got to the event, with your race car in your trailer, you paid to be there, you fed your hungry girlfriend, you got a hotel to make sure you're not sleeping on the street, you did the event, you get home from the event, and now you're getting ready to go to the next event. Well, a car of this level is not just a matter of doing a bolt check and making sure there's still oil in it, as much as I wish it still was. There's a few operating costs that happen in between each event, and those are maintenance costs. So on this car, it has a 9-liter dry sump system. So every event, after every event, we do an oil change. And doing an oil change on this car, on average, costs me about $130 per oil change. That's after every event. Every second event, we do a trans fluid flush. That costs about $25. After every second event, we also do a diff fluid flush. That cost me about 40 bucks. And then this season we did spark plugs twice. Didn't need to, but being that as a new build and a new motor, I felt that was appropriate to do that. Regardless, we will always do that because at this level you need to make sure your spark plugs are gravy, and that cost me 100 bucks. So between the season, we did our oil change, 130, trans fluid, 25, diff fluid every second event, spark plugs, 100 bucks. So we got all our numbers. Now it's time to go back to the office and crunch the numbers because this little girl, she's hungry and she's thirsty. Let's find out what she costs per lap. Back in the office, let's crunch some numbers real quick. So based on my math, this means that on average, we spend $5,475 to go to one event.
Okay, hold on. Ty, I would like you to crunch those numbers again.
It's programmed. There's no such thing as
Just crunch them, please.
crunch.
Did it help?
On average, we get about 20 laps per event in this car, if we're lucky. So, with that being said, that would mean that 5,475 divided by 20 would be $273.75 per lap. So next time you ask for a ride along, ask yourself, am I worth $275? I'm joking. But seriously, it puts in perspective what it costs to operate a drift car of this level. If this was an FD car, we were running an FD program, seat time would decrease, expenses would increase. So I know some buddies that are in FD that have a number per lap that is much higher than this. So with that, the ironic thing about all this is I got into drifting initially when I discovered it because there's a low barrier to entry. I think there's still an argument to be made for that, but as you guys can see, now that we built a pro car, it is still a very legitimate motorsport with lots of upfront expenses and operating costs, etc. So my question is to you guys, do you guys still think drifting is a good entry-level motorsport in terms of the overall barrier to entry, or are there other forms of racing that you guys think would be better if your goal was to progress it, make a career out of it, and go pro? Let us know in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.